Hello, thanks for stopping by today. I have a card video for you using supplies from the Simon Says Stamp card kit of the month called Dandelion Messages. And I'm just taking this piece of pattern paper, it's an 8x8 piece of pattern paper, and trimming each panel down to 4 inches. So I'm going to make a slimline card. Now normally you would cut a card for slimline at 7 inches. You take an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and cut it at 7 inches. But I'm being a little bit bold today and I'm cutting it at 8 1/4, and then later I discovered I do need to trim it down to 8 inches. But I'm going to fold it here at 4 1/4. And that will give me a 4 1/4 by 8 1/4 piece of paper. But you can see that right side looks a little bit too big, so I just trim another 1/4 inch off of that. Now I will have to make my own envelope for this if I'm going to send it through the mail, because I don't think there's an envelope big enough for it. Maybe a top folding envelope. I'm not sure. I'll have to check and see. But anyway, unless I want to put it in like an oversized envelope. So I'm just going to take this second panel and trim those down to 2 inches each. I'm going to use the first 3 on the front of the card, and the last one I'm going to use on the inside of the card. And then I'm going to use these dies from Simon Says Stamp. They're frames. They create those beautiful little frames there, and you get lots of different sizes in that die set. And I'm just going to trim each one of these down by a 1/4 inch on the top of each one. So then it's going to be sort of a repetition of the same image. And those white dandelions came from a die that also comes in the card kit. It's again, the kit is called Dandelion Messages, and it's for May 2021. And the white cardstock also came in the kit. Now I'm just using some scrapbook adhesives, tape runner, to put on my front panel on the card. And then I'll place those individual panels as well. And I love that beautiful purple gradient that pattern paper has. And I'm just using an adhesive eraser. I think this is by Xyron. I'll have all those products linked down below if you're interested. And I'm just going to adhere these to the front of my card here, space them out evenly. And when those are adhered, I'll go ahead and attach the frames and those beautiful little dandelions. I did have some trouble cutting out that dandelion with the thicker cardstock. It worked great on copy paper. It also worked great on the Nina Bristol paper, but I had some trouble with the thicker cardstock. So I definitely, be aware of that. I used a Spellbinders platform die, which is pretty heavy duty. Never had any trouble with it on any die, but I did have some trouble with this one, just to let you know. Okay, so now I'm just using some Tombow Mono liquid glue to adhere these frames. You do have to be gentle with them so you don't break them, because they're very genteel. They're tiny, so they're easy to break. So just handle them with care. And so I'm going to do that with all 3 of those, and then I'll adhere the dandelions down. I chose to do white because those dandelions on that purple pattern paper were white, so I thought that would be a nice tie-in. So I'm just going to finish adhering these up here. You can have fun watching me do that. I always enjoy watching other people make cards too. I don't know about you, but if you're watching this video, you're either watching it to get ideas or because you would just enjoy watching people create, which is something I love to do. So for the sentiment or greeting for this card, I'm going to use the one from the Simon Says Stamp kit that does come in the kit, and it's it says, "Thank you for thinking of me." And I use the same dies that do not come in the kit. The frames I had to purchase separately, but you get lots of different sizes, so that's kind of cool. So I just cut a small one out of white cardstock, and I'm going to use my precision press stamping tool to stamp that greeting on that little rectangle. I will trim it down so it'll look more like a square later on. But since this is a new stamp set, I used an eraser to go over the surface of that stamp just to condition it. And I'm stamping it on some scratch paper just to make sure that I'll get a good image. Now you can see if you press hard, you'll smush the letters. So you want to go ahead and press with a gentle pressure, but an even pressure all over. So that's what I'm going to do there. And I just put my chamois in my precision press stamp so it doesn't any of the residue left on that stamp set wouldn't mark up that sticky mat that I have in there. Okay, so now I'm going to use some more liquid glue. This is again my Tombow Mono glue that I'm using. Use whatever you have, guys. You don't have to go out and buy anything special. Just use whatever you have that will work for you, and that's the best way to do it. So I'm just adhering these to the front of my card, and when I'm done with that, I'll be ready to put in my sentiment and then decorate the inside of my card. Now, I chose to decorate the inside of my card with that 4th piece of paper that I had cut, you may remember from just a moment ago. So I'm going to let those dry. I'm putting that heavy acrylic block on top of that and letting that set there for a few minutes. And then when it's dry, I come back again with my adhesive eraser. You want to be very careful though, because I did end up you know, almost tearing one of those little frames with that adhesive eraser. So have a very light touch. So that says, thank you for thinking of me. I'm going to use my Tombow Mono to adhere that to the front, and my little tweezers there to help me place it properly. And then for the inside of the card, I don't like wasting supplies. So when I cut out this frame, I had a little white frame left over. So I'm going to use that. So I cut out the I used the same frame to cut out a rectangle of that purple paper, and then I'm going to put that in and then use that white frame with that just to sort of echo the same image on the outside. I thought that looked kind of neat, but I made it a little bit smaller instead of making it exactly the same. So it's a little bit different, so that adds some more interest, but yet it's very similar, so it sort of just echoes the same design. So I think it's fun to do that on the inside of your cards too. I think people enjoy seeing something on the inside as well as something on the front of the card to go along with your message. So that's it for my card today. I hope you had fun watching. I'm just going to see right there. Do you see how I was heavy-handed with that eraser? You got to be really careful. I do the same thing with this flower in a moment. You'll see I have to trim off the stem because I accidentally tore it when I was trying to erase some of that glue. It's hard to put glue on those little tiny pieces and not get it everywhere. Thankfully it dries clear, and it also, when it dries, it's kind of tacky. That's why I can use that eraser on it to try to pick it up. If you don't have the eraser, you can just use your fingers to rub it away as well once it's dry. But again, have a light touch with these you know, with these delicate images and such. So anyway, it almost just looks like you have just the dandelion there without a stem because I had to trim it away. But anyway, that's it for the card today. I hope you had a great time. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a like and a subscribe for future videos. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.